This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic!
What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is November 20th, 2025. It is my oldest's birthday. Happy birthday, baby girl. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. Kevin, what is going on, brother? How are we?
Yo, doing great. Feeling good. Glad to be here. Glad to be here after another Magic win. Glad to be here after another Magic win over the Golden State Warriors. All those things. It's great. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Magic starting to get things back together here. We'll talk about the win on Tuesday over the Warriors, obviously, and take a look at the rest of the week. But before that, wanted to give a special shout out to Ellis Bruvsal, O-Town Chef, Kane Eckler, and DC Magic. These are some of our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons, the folks that help make each and every episode possible. If you would like to financially support the show, if you like what we're doing, head on over to patreon.com/the6man-show. Whenever we have brand new patrons, we give them a special shout out, as well as a handful of our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons each and every episode. So again, if you want to join in on the fun, help us do what we do, head on over to patreon.com/the6man-show. Kev, we do have some news. Noah Penda, rookie Noah Penda, the second round pick of the Magic, was assigned to the G League, and he actually had his G League debut tonight. Jason Beatty tweeting out 32 minutes off the bench in his first G League game on assignment with Osceola. Magic rookie Noah Penda racked up 14 points, was 2 of 6 from 3, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals, and an assist at the Austin Spurs. So I do like the fact that Noah is getting some run with the G League, just like we've seen in recent years with guys like Jet Howard and Caleb Houston and RJ Hampton. I guess it makes sense that they only send down one guy at a time. I don't think it would really leave the roster in a great spot if they sent down both Noah and Jace at the same time. I do find it interesting because Jace hasn't really, gotten much of an opportunity in the NBA, so maybe it would have made sense to send him down first, but also with Jalen Suggs and the groin thing kind of being up in the air the last few days, it probably makes more sense to keep Jace on the main roster, at least for now, and then maybe once he's 100%, we see Jace sent down at some point, but I do just want to see Jace get some playing time, soon here. But I think this is really good, valuable stuff for Noah Penda as well, and glad that he played well.
Yeah, 100%. It inspired me, Jonathan, to look at something really fast as I'm pulling this up. I'm trying. Okay, there it is. This is what I'm looking for. Because you mentioned, Noah being sent down and not Jace. I was wondering, and I'm correct. So Noah, love Noah, glad he's here. Noah has played more minutes in the NBA this year than Jace Richardson, which is an interesting choice. Obviously, there's different reasons for that, but I think there's maybe some more reasons why we'd like to see Jace Richardson play, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I do think it is great to see Noah with Osceola, and we'll see how long that lasts, but at least he's getting some consistent, basketball opportunities right now, and we'll see what can be said of Jace here soon.
Yeah, want to remind everybody, our newest episode of the Sixth Fan Show is up on our YouTube, so if you haven't seen that already, please go ahead and check that out. That was filmed Tuesday night after the big win over the Warriors at home. Christian did a great job, and there's some really funny moments in that, so be sure to check that out. And then this Sunday at Boxy Park in Lake Nona, our next watch party, that game tips off at 6 o'clock versus the Boston Celtics. So that watch party is going to tip off around 5:30. So be sure to head there and support this team, while they're on the road against the Boston Celtics, Kev.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time, and lots of good eats there that are available at Boxy Park. So it's one of those places where, if you like one type of, if you don't like a certain type of cuisine, they got other things there for you. And so, lots of different options, lots of good stuff. And obviously come support the Magic, join fellow Magic maniacs, and cheer on this team in another big game.
Thursday, as you're listening to this today, when the Magic take on the Clippers, they are debuting the City Edition jerseys and the new court. Really excited to see that. Already watching the games on TV, seeing a lot of fans have those jerseys already. So I'm excited to see the guys play in those because they're awesome. And I'm also really excited to see the floor. So it'll be good to get a look at that on Thursday.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And obviously, we've seen pictures of it, but it's always one of those things like you don't know until you see it. And in my brain, I know how it's going to look, but you never know. And so I think it's going to look awesome. And that court, I mean, we talked about it when they debuted the images of it. It looks really nice. Looks really nice. Yeah. So I can't wait to see it against the Clippers.
Every jersey looks a little bit better with our guys, wearing that.
It's true.
Okay, let's take a look at the state of the Magic right now, and there's really a lot to dive into here. So far this week, the Magic are 1-0 with the win over the Warriors on Tuesday at home. At the time of this recording, which is basically 10:30 Wednesday night, the Magic are 8-6, 10th in the Eastern Conference, 5 games back of Detroit, 3 games back of Toronto, 2 games back of Toronto. I'll double check that in a second here. I think I messed that up, but 1.5 games back of Cleveland, 1 game back of New York, Atlanta, and Miami, 0.5 game back of Philadelphia, tied with Chicago and Boston. The Magic are 20th in offensive rating, so they've slid just a little bit. They're at 114.3, meaning per 100 possessions that the Magic play, they're scoring 114.3 points, and they're currently 13th in defensive rating with a defensive rating of 112.7. So that means per 100 possessions that the Magic play, they're giving up 112.7 points to their opponents, and they are 16th in net rating with a positive net rating of 1.5, which means per 100 possessions, the Magic are outscoring their opponents by 1.5 points. And the Magic, who were 6th in pace about 2.5 weeks ago, have fallen all the way to 22nd in pace with 100.54 possessions played per 48 minutes. So you and I basically went on like a rant a couple episodes ago about all of this pace. Like, what good is it if the Magic aren't playing well? And to the coaching staff's credit, they also identified that the pace wasn't really helping the Magic, have scaled the pace down. And since then, we've seen both the offensive rating and defensive ratings go up relative, like up in rankings, like in a good way relative to the rest of the league. So kind of at the point where I almost don't even want us to continue to mention pace because it's kind of relevant because the Magic are basically back at the pace at which they're playing last year, but the offense has been better, and we can talk about that. Taking a quick look at the injury report, Mo Wagner is still out with the ACL, although he is still doing weird celebrations on the sideline with his brother. I don't know what the heck that was. If you know, you know. But he is not yet doing contact work on the court just yet. Paolo Banchero has missed the last few games with the groin strain. He is out officially on Thursday against the Clippers as well. Jalen Suggs returned Tuesday to the lineup after missing Sunday's game with a sore groin. And we do have an update on Paolo Banchero. He is doing on-court work, but he's not yet doing any type of contact. So although he is back on the floor, doing some like light shooting and dribbling, that kind of stuff, he's not yet like back to doing contact work. So if I had to guess, Paolo's probably still a week or so away. They're probably going to take a little bit of time to get his conditioning back. So that's an update. And yes, my correction of the Raptors was correct. We're 2 games back of the Raptors. So after everything that has happened and has transpired so far this season, Kevin, as disappointing as the Magic start has felt at times, in their last 10 games, they are 7-3, which is right around where we expected this team to be. Winning 60 to 70% of their games, and they're just 1.5 games back of the 3 seed, and they're 2 games back of the 2 seed after everything that has happened, and a lot has happened. A really quick snapshot, taking a look at the last 9 games for the Magic, they're 6-3 in those games. In terms of offensive rating, they're 15th in the league as opposed to 20th for the season. And in terms of defensive rating, they're 6th in the league compared to 13th in the league for the season. And in terms of net rating, they are 10th in the league as opposed to, what did I say, 16th in the league in net rating. So over the last 9 games, the Magic essentially have been the team that we thought we were going to get. They've been really good offensively. They have slipped a little bit from where they were last year defensively. 6th in the league. Still probably want them to find their way into the top 5. Atlanta's sitting at 5 with a 109.5. The Magic are sitting at 6 with a 109.6. So they're right there knocking on the door in terms of being a top 5 defense. I think when we get Paolo Banchero back, this team could be top 12 offense and a top 5 defense, and that absolutely would be a top 10 net rating as well. So good things are happening for the Magic, and we're going to talk about all of that as we do on this show. We criticize when we think it's fair, but when people are doing a good job and guys are playing well, we always give credit as well. So there's going to be some of that on this one, Kev.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when you think back to like those first couple weeks, and the Magic are back for sure. But when I think back to those first couple weeks, I don't feel like, sometimes when you have reactions to things and you look back and you go, we were idiots. Like, what? That was so dumb. I still don't feel that way about the first couple weeks of the season. Like it just, things weren't, they just didn't, optically they didn't look good. The vibes weren't there. And so I don't necessarily,
the body language was bad.
The body language was bad. I don't regret. Now, I wasn't one of those like fire Mosley and Desmond Bain was a waste and blah, 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 blah. I wasn't that far. I mean, some Magic fans were, and maybe they're feeling a little bit of remorse or regret for the opening of the season. But I think everything that I felt, at least, was justified. And of course, most people are going to think that, it's their own thoughts. But
yeah.
But regardless, the fact that we have righted the ship and this team looks like the team that we expected, and it goes back to, like, I mean, I just talked about this on the last episode, identity. It feels like we have our identity again. Yeah. And that makes all the difference in the world. You can live with losing games if you're sticking true to your identity. Like, this is the NBA. No one's ever gone 82-0. It's not a thing. You're going to lose games. But if you're sticking to who you are, especially how the Magic play, they should be in 90-something% of every game. They may not win all of them, but they should be in them. And obviously, that's been very, very evident the last couple of weeks, especially even, thinking back to Sunday against Houston, where you're down 2 starters and you take one of the best teams in the league to overtime. And so very, very happy with that. Very proud of the team. And I think this team has a lot of momentum going into a pretty challenging but also important stretch of the schedule.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do think that if the problem was solely the offense, and the conversation was only around like, hey, look, we knew that this was going to take time. There's this integration period. Guys are still learning each other. If that was the biggest problem that we had, I don't think people would have been calling for the job of Jamal Mosley. And we weren't calling for the job of Jamal Mosley, but we were just kind of laying out that, hey, historically, when teams look like this and teams have expectations, if things continue trending the way that they were, because they were trending very badly, the Magic were getting like blown out to start the season, coaches end up getting fired. And we were just speaking to that, like our experience as NBA fans for, 20 plus years or whatever. But if that would have been the only issue and the body language wasn't what it was a lot of nights, and the head coach obviously being frustrated about guys not defending and this team not playing to the thing that we thought we could just 100% take to the bank to start this season, is, hey, the offense might not be great, but we know the defense is going to be elite. And the defense has the last couple of weeks, but the first couple of weeks of the season, it just was not. So I do think even if we were losing, if the way that we were losing and the way that we were playing had been different, people would have been able to live a bit more with the results and just kind of trust that things were going to work out. But that wasn't the case. Everything was bad to start the season. So, but to everybody's credit who is involved with this team, they are trusting the process. Guys, at least for right now, seem like they've bought back into this style of play. I do think when Paolo Banchero comes back, there's going to be a little bit of a reintegration of Paolo, just like there was last season when he came back and when Franz came back. But as we talked about at the beginning of the season when we were going through those struggles, they have a proof of concept of if we play this way, we play physical, we defend, we take care of the basketball, we get to the free throw line, this team is going to have a lot of those games against Houston. And hopefully a lot of them will just kind of break the other way because, I think everybody would agree the ball bounces a couple of different ways in that Houston game and the Magic find a way to win it.
Yeah.
Right. Like Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva, make free throws towards the end of that game. You probably, win that game. So, no, I'm right there with you. I feel exactly the same way.
And just one other thing, like the first couple weeks, we had a couple wins. Miami opening night, whatever. You get the Wizards win, the Charlotte win, and we talked about it a lot. Those are two of the worst teams in basketball. But the attention that I think is worth noting is we turned the corner from the softer part of the schedule to a little bit of a more challenging part of the schedule, and we're winning. Like if you think about, like you mentioned, the Houston game, like one possession away from beating them. Golden State, you beat Tuesday night. The Knicks, you beat at MSG last week. You beat Portland on the second night of a back-to-back. Portland's a good team. Like this isn't just like, oh, we're beating the bad teams. We're back to beating the good teams, or at the very least being in the conversation with them at the end of games. And so to me, that is like the staple of Jamal Mosley over his entire career, really, especially the last, 2 seasons before this one, that this team could compete with anybody on any night. And they're proving that. And again, like I said earlier, at the right time, because the schedule's getting a little more intense. The games are getting really important. I mean, every game's important, but next week, the NBA Cup wraps up with the games in Philly and Detroit. And so those have a little more emphasis. And so, yeah, it's interesting times, but I think this team is firing on, I don't know about all cylinders, but most cylinders I think are firing at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say that like essentially everyone is performing better, over the course of the last couple of weeks. And we'll talk about that, but let's go ahead and go back to Tuesday night. So we get the news that Jalen Suggs is going to be back. I don't know why I ever thought that Jalen Suggs would miss an opportunity to play the Warriors at home, but of course it made a lot of sense for him to come back. Like when you think about Jalen Suggs and you think of like the quintessential like iconic moments of Jalen Suggs, like that win a few years ago at home over the Warriors, it was kind of like the birth of Jalen Suggs. Like when I think about like early in his career, like statement games and like great performances and just like great Jalen Suggs performances of all time, like that has to be at the top of the list. I think that might be like the first game that comes to everyone's mind.
It's one of them. Yeah. I mean, I think because that was his second year, if I'm remembering correctly. That was 22-23. So
yeah,
I think there were a couple and maybe it's just me, cherry picking certain things, but his rookie season, he obviously had the dunk on Chicago and, the Magic City thing and that whole thing. That was that for me was the birth of Jalen Suggs, like the psycho, like in the best way possible, like the psycho. And you're like, oh, I rock with this guy.
This guy has a couple of screws loose.
Yeah, in the best way. But as far as, actual basketball performances, you're probably right. Like, Jalen Suggs pretty much, I don't want to say single-handedly won that game, but down the stretch, he certainly single-handedly closed the game out. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, the big three, couple of forcing Steph into a couple turnovers.
Yeah.
Like, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, no, I think that's fair. It's definitely a big part of the Jalen Suggs lore, if you will, I think.
Yeah. So Jalen Suggs back into the starting lineup, Tristan Da Silva starting in place of Paolo Banchero. And this was a fun one. I don't want to say it wasn't a back and forth game because the Magic led what felt like the entire time. But every time the Magic would go on a run, the Warriors would go on a run. And really proud of the way, really the last couple of games against Houston and in this one against Golden State, of like these good like veteran teams. Every time they punched back, the Magic would come back and just land another big haymaker. So 19-9 first quarter run for the Magic. Warriors come back a little bit. They end the first quarter on a 5-0 run. They cut the lead to 4. Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs were just like ultra aggressive, especially in that first half. I know we're going to talk about Jalen Suggs. I'm sorry, about Anthony Black. We'll talk about Jalen as well. He had a really big play towards the end of the game. But AB's like ultra aggressive mode lasted the entire night. I did note that there were some like rough Jonathan Isaac minutes in the first half. I don't recall if he played 6 minutes, 49 seconds. I believe all of those came in the first half. I'm not mistaken. Tristan Da Silva, I know we'll continue to talk about him, but he had a quick little series in the first half where he misses a layup, or I'm sorry, he misses a 3. The Warriors get the ball. He steals it back immediately and gets a layup. He just finds a way to make awesome plays happen, like a handful of times a game where like you, for some reason, I'm having to like relearn Tristan Da Silva because he just does things that you don't expect him to be able to do. And he's just getting so much better so quickly that it's kind of crazy. Magic had a 15-point second quarter lead, which ended up being cut to 3. Then they were up 12 in the third quarter. That was cut down to 5. They extended it back to 14. Then it got cut back to 8 again. The lead got cut to 5 in the fourth quarter with 9:06 to go with a Jimmy Butler layup. It was 99-94. And then the Magic responded with a 14-5 run over the next 4.5-ish minutes. They had a 14-point lead with 4 minutes and 44 to go. Started to get a little bit chippy, or a lot of bit chippy. There weren't any like really, physical altercations, but guys just talking trash, guys getting in each other's faces. Everybody at this point has probably seen like the reaction that Steph had. He hits a 3 over Jalen Suggs in the second half, and is just, I don't really know exactly how to describe what he did, but it was just...
It's probably better to not try to describe it, yeah.
Yeah, probably. It was very, very strange. Go back and watch it for yourself. Jimmy Butler is in Jalen Suggs' face. I think it was Pajemski was in Desmond Bane's face, which is like the worst possible thing you could ever try to do, is anything that involves getting physical with Desmond Bane. So really, really chippy towards the end. It felt like the Warriors were trying to mount a comeback, and then Jalen Suggs had an insane block. I think it was on Pajemski. Yeah, Magic get the ball, go down the other end. Jalen Suggs finds Desmond Bane in the corner for a big 3, which was the final nail in the coffin of this game. Magic end up winning this one 121-113 at home over the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry had a really good first half. I think he was like 5 of 7 from 3 in the first with like 22 points. He ends up 12 of 23 from the floor, which is pretty good, but 7 of 15 from 3 considering the start that he had, and finished with 34 points. Like, the boys straight up locked Steph Curry down in the second half. And this was just a big game for the Magic. They needed to get this one. Always good to beat the Warriors, especially at home when there's a lot of Curry fanboys in attendance. Yeah. But they didn't get to have a ton of fun. In fact, one of my favorite lines from our Six Fans show is that gentleman who said they paid over $400 to watch their team lose.
Yep,
which is really the best way to put it.
The Six Man Show is brought to you by our friends at the Posit Group. They are your home team on and off the court. They are not just the real estate sponsor of the Six Man Show, they're also the real estate sponsor of the Orlando Magic this season, teaming up with Central Florida's team because they are Central Florida's team for real estate. If you need to buy or sell a home, look no further than the Posit Group, who have over 1,700 5-star reviews, and it's easy to see why. People love selling with or buying with the Posit Group because they know the Central Florida market as well as anybody. Ken and his team are amazing, and we definitely know that you won't be disappointed if you go with them. So visit Pozek.com, that's Pozek.com, and let them know that you're interested in buying or selling a house with them. And again, I know they will do a good job to get you the home that you want, or to get you all the money you want as you sell your home. And so again, big shout out to Ken and his amazing team. Go to Pozek.com. That's Pozek.com.
This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Jam Hot Chicken. Jam Hot Chicken is proudly serving the city beautiful, bringing jams, culture, and hot chicken to the heart of Orlando. They're in Winter Park and now also in their new location over in Winter Garden at the Plant Street Market. Jam Hot Chicken is a Nashville, LA-inspired hot chicken shack, locally owned and operated in Orlando. They're located at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square if you're in Winter Park, and also in the Crooked Can Plant Street Market over there in Winter Garden, depending on where you are. Follow them at Jam Hot Chicken on all social media. Go to jamhotchickenfl.com to access the menu, order online, find their music playlist, and all things Jam Hot. They're also now available on Uber Eats for delivery if you're local, and they were recently added or named to the Yelp's top 50 Orlando restaurants. So they're one of the best spots to eat if you're in the city beautiful. And when you stop by, whether you order online, you can enter the code at the checkout, code 6MAN, SIXTHMAN, or when you're in person and you get to the cashier, let them know that you have code 6MAN, and that gets you 10% off your entire meal. So not only is the food fantastic, but if you're a fan of the show, just let them know. You get a nice little discount off your meal as well. So be sure to stop by Jam Hot Chicken. Let them know that the boys over at the 6MAN Show sent you. Not only is the food fantastic, but they're huge Magic fans as well. So be sure to support Jam Hot Chicken. And now let's go ahead and get back to the episode.
I have an apology to make. Last night on the post-game live, which I hosted, if you don't know, like the game ends and I try to go live ASAP. Like I don't watch any, coverage or anything like that. I just, as soon as the game's over, I put in the stats and I go, right? I did not watch a replay of Jalen Suggs' block on Pajemski there.
Yeah.
And on the show, I said, I don't know. I think it might have been a goaltend, but glad we got away with it. And then later I watched the replay. I was like, no, it wasn't a goaltend. That was a real block. That was a true block. It was a good no call. So I apologize to Jalen Suggs. I never should have doubted you. It's a great block and a great exclamation point at the end of the game. But as far as the game on the whole, I loved what you tweeted about the whole Jimmy Butler thing. Like it felt so much like, and it's kind of like what we talked. I don't know if it was you and I who talked about it, or maybe I talked about it on the post game live, like how some of the older generation guys, at least to me, they're starting to, I don't know, maybe get a little bit grumpy, to some of the younger guys in the league. I think specifically about the Draymond and Wembanyama thing, where they were running, Draymond was running his mouth and then Wemby actually showed him up, which was, I don't love Wemby, but I loved that moment. Like that moment was amazing.
Cool.
That was awesome.
Probably my favorite Wemby moment.
For sure. And then you saw it with Jimmy Butler and, and Jalen. It's just like, I think these grumpy guys just don't like that their time in the spotlight of the league. They can see it dwindling. And so they're kind of grasping at straws to find something to keep them relevant. And so it was a little weird, but I
Jimmy,
give credit.
like, he's crazy in his own right, but like Jalen is that too. Like if there's anybody that can match that energy, especially on this team, like it's Jalen Suggs. You're not going to punk Jalen Suggs.
Well, I just give Jalen and the entire team credit because what they did last night, and it's something they've done almost the entire Jamal Mosley era. They will talk back to you. They will be just as much about the mind games, but they don't cross the line to where it costs their team 99 times out of 100. And when Jimmy Butler puts his finger in your face, a lot of people would have totally said it's justified if Jalen like swatted it away or shoved him or more, who knows, which would have led to a tech or an injection or a suspension or whatever. And so I just give the Magic a lot of credit for playing the mind games, being right there in it, but not crossing the line to where it costs your team. And that's a sign of maturity. That's a sign of a team that is believing in the team and not so much caught up in, I have to, protect my own respect and whatever else, So anyway, that's a whole side note from this game, but it was at least slightly entertaining to watch Golden State kind of try to manufacture something out of this one. And our guys were just like, nah, we're good. Let's just play. It was fun.
I just love the fact that like they're just not like afraid. Like they so clearly in those moments like trying to punk our guys because like, they do have, a lot of those guys have championship pedigree. Jimmy Butler has like near championship pedigree, right? Like, playing in a couple of finals in which he lost both, but like they have that type of reputation. And I love that our guys just absolutely do not care about that whatsoever. And it was good to see them respond. And then like a lot of times, like, you know, we saw it with like the Rockets a couple years ago, like when the Rockets were like really, really young, you know, like the Tari Eason stuff in the locker room, like Warriors. And then after that, it kind of came back to bite them later on in the year. Sometimes you can talk trash and it can come back to bite you, but this just isn't the same Warriors team. Like it's not. And they were able to be physical enough with Steph Curry, especially in that second half. And credit to Jamal Mosley. I have criticized the lack of like timeouts and like poorly timed timeouts. The last two games, specifically against Houston and Golden State, when these teams have started to go on those runs and started to have responses, and in, you know, previous seasons and other games this season where he has just kind of called the timeouts like 2-3 possessions too late, where you had an 11-point lead, you could have called a timeout when it was 9 or it was 7. Now it's 3 or now it's 4. And now the other team's like really back in this game. Against Houston, when the Magic would go on their runs and the Rockets would start to come back, he'd have a perfectly timed timeout. And in this one, especially when Steph would start going, and he could sense the fanboys in Kia Center, which still drives me absolutely freaking nuts that we have people here who are Magic fans, but when this one dude comes to town, like they cheer for him 80 other times a year. Don't cheer for him when he's playing against your team. That just quotations your team. That just drives me crazy. But to Jamal Mosley's credit, every time they started to get a little bit of momentum, had a perfect timeout in both of these last two games, really. So wanted it to give him credit. But just go to the box score. There are so many guys that played well in this one. Tristan da Silva, 15 points, 6 of 13, 3 of 7 from behind the arc. We're at the point with Tristan da Silva. He might be the only guy on the team right now. When he pulls up, I just feel like it's going in.
Yeah.
Every single time, I just feel like it's going in. I'm pretty much surprised when it doesn't. Desmond will get back to that point, but we're waiting for him to get to that point. Franz, offensively, I felt like this was like an okay Franz game. Defensively, he was really good. 18 points, 4 of 17, 0 of 3 from behind the arc, 4 of 4 at the free throw line. I have to take a look at like what his shooting splits are like the last 7-8 games, because it does feel like the 3-point shooting is kind of regressing back to where he was, which is not ideal. He's starting to hesitate more, it seems like. But 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block. Wendell Carter Jr., awesome in this game. Like, Wendell has had 3 or 4 games this year that weren't great. Outside of those, he has been absolutely phenomenal all year round. 17 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. Desmond Bane, really good game, 23.7 to 16, 2 of 6 from behind the arc, 7 of 7 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals. I think Desmond Bane is the first guard for the Orlando Magic since Jameer Nelson in 2005 to have a 20.5 rebound, 5 assist game. And he also added 5 steals.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Is it the 5 steals? Whatever tweet I said, I felt like it didn't include the 5 steals.
Oh, okay, maybe it didn't. Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'll look that up to be sure. But when you're doing something that hasn't been done for this team in 20 years, like that is a pretty significant thing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And yeah, I'm pulling up that tweet now too. But
yeah, I can't find it. So yeah, you might be right, but if you could just confirm that for us when you find that. But
I'll try my best. Yeah.
Desmond Bane, really, really good. Jalen Suggs, great defense on Steph, like really all night, but especially that second half. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists for Jalen in this one. 2 steals, a block, 3 turnovers. 4 of 11 from the floor, 0 of 7 from deep. So all of his misses came from behind the arc. There's a couple that were just a bit too deep for my liking. And we're at this weird spot with Jalen this year where I don't know exactly what it is, but it does feel like he's playing a bit more recklessly with the ball in his hands as opposed to the last couple of years. I don't know if the statistics back that up, but it just feels like he's having more moments this year where you're like, oh, I don't really love that. But at the end of the day, like you can live with that kind of stuff from Jalen because of the positives that he brings you. And this team is just so much better when he's in the lineup. I am going to come back to one guy, but we do have to mention Tyus Jones. Almost 15 minutes, 8 points, 3 of 3 from the floor, 2 of 2 from behind the arc, 3 assists, and a steal. This was unequivocally the best Tyus Jones game of the season. People were a little bit critical of me, and I don't know about you on the post game live last night, but people were saying that like I wasn't giving Tyus Jones enough credit. Like Tyus Jones had a good game, but like how low is the bar where you want people to get like up on a podium and like, oh, this guy had 8 points tonight. Like, I'm glad he had a good game. We need to see more of these games from Tyus Jones. I do think he's capable. Like immediately, he hits that second three and he's just moving differently and like moving with the ball differently and seem to get some confidence back. He had a great game. Like I'm not trying to take anything away from Tyus, but like the criticisms have still been completely fair of Tyus. In fact, there was a thread that I retweeted or reposted to X talking about like the way that Tyus Jones has negatively affected the offense this year. And it's all statistic based. It's a tip off and D Lee for 3 production is what it says. I don't think it's something that we should just throw away because of one good Tyus game. He was really good. I don't want to take any credit away from him for the way that he played, but there are still a lot of issues with Tyus being in the lineup. That being said, if he gives you this every night, I do think you can live with more of some of the negatives that he does bring.
Yeah, my thing with that whole conversation is, yes, he had a great game, and I look forward to more great games from Tyus. But if you are complaining about us not giving enough of a reaction to this, it's because one game out of 15 is not good enough, right? Like one good game out of we're at game 15, guys. We are 18% of the way through the season. We're past the small sample size thing. And so the fact that the first 14 games were not good. Now, he had a couple games in there that were but by and large, it was 14 bad performances to one good one. No, we're not going to sit here and go, oh, yeah. It takes more than that. And look, it's very possible he can do that. It's very possible that he can turn it around and be a contributor for this team. And when that happens, you'll hear from us. But in the meantime, we give it a golf clap. It was a good performance. Now let's build on it. That's where I am.
Yeah, and if this continues, the coaching staff deserves credit for having the patience with him and seeing that he could get to this point, but he has to do it consistently. Yep. He can't do this once every 3 or every 4 games. He needs to be doing this 2 out of every 3 games.
Yeah.
Like and he can, but he just has to do it consistently. The Magic need that. Speaking of what the Magic need and needing consistency, Anthony Black in 32 minutes, 21 points, 8 of 13 from the floor. He was 0 of 3 from behind the arc, but he was 5 of 7 at the free throw line. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Anthony Black's career high in the NBA in a Magic uniform is 23 points. He's done that, I think, 3 or 4 times now over the course of the last 3 seasons. But the defense that he played in this game, the way that this team has needed him to step up, and as decisive as he was in this game, like I really don't remember any possessions where he hesitated even for a moment. Like when the ball swung to him and he knew it was his time, he was making quick decisions and like for the most part, like just getting to the rim and finishing through contact, like difficult finishes. To me, this is in at least the conversation for Anthony Black's best game of his career. Like just when you look at all the context, the way that he played, the decision making, the efficiency, the defense, he might not have shot the ball as well as he has in other games. Like those other like 23-point performances, my guess is he had, at least a couple of threes in those games. So for him to be able to do this, not knocking down a 3, getting to the free throw line 7 times. Now he did miss 2. 6 for 7 is probably acceptable. 5 of 7, we want to be just a little bit better than that. But like this was an awesome Anthony Black game. If you can get 75 to 80% of this Anthony Black every single night, we are really cooking when this team is healthy.
100%. And it goes back to one of the big struggles that we've seen from this team through the first 15 games is that second unit, the bench unit. It's just, it has not been good. It really hasn't. Part of that is, we always talk about Mo coming back, but part of it is Anthony Black when he's on it, because also there's been several games so far this season where he hasn't been on the second unit because he's been starting in place of Jalen. But when he's on it, that's what we need. We've said it for, this is 3 seasons now. We need consistency from Anthony Black, and it's moments like these, games like these, where we go, that's what we need. And like you said, we don't even need that every night. We don't need 21 points from Anthony Black every night. We just, like you said, even 50%. Give us 50% of that every night, and some nights give us 80% of that. And this team is in very serious business, especially when you add in Mo Wagner to round out the bench unit. And so very, very encouraging performance. But someone reminded us in the chat last night of the postgame live, he's still just 21. He's 21 years old, Anthony Black. That's just outrageous to me. Like that. Sometimes you forget, again, especially in the one and done era, and guys are coming into the league at 19 or whatever. You just forget that these guys are still so young and have such a long way to go as far as, between now and their prime. And so it's a great glimpse into what I think Anthony Black could be. And just need him to be more consistent, and then the sky's the limit.
Okay. So I do think it's very possible this is the best game of Anthony Black's career. This is only the second time in his career where he scored at least 20 points without making a three. The other games where he scored 23 points once his rookie year, he scored 23 points twice last year. His rookie year, he scored 23 points, shooting 4 of 6 from 3. He also had a game that season where he scored 20 points, shooting 4 of 4 from 3. He had a 23-point game last year in a loss to OKC, in which he shot 3 of 6 from deep. Another 23-point game last year against Washington where he shot 4 of 5 from 3. He had a game last year late in the season against Indiana. He scored 21 points, 0 of 1. That's the only other game in his career where he scored at least 20 points, not making a 3. So like usually when he has these types of like high scoring like outputs, he's like lights out from deep. And he wasn't in this game. Last year when he scored 21 points without making a 3, he was 9 of 16 from the floor. So he was even more efficient in this one than he was in that game. So like, especially in terms of like decision making and aggressiveness, like getting to the rim. And it also resulted in him getting 7 free throw attempts. To me, like if we probably think Anthony Black is closer to like, what was he in this game? Was it 0 of 3? Yeah, 0 of 3 from deep. I think he's probably closer to 0 of 3 from deep than he is like 4 for 5. Right? Like I just don't see him yet like as a knockdown shooter. Like he does have games where he can, knock it down. I'm not saying he's a complete non-shooter, but this year I think he's like around 30%. So by no means is he, lights out from there. But like this, I think, is the best, most sustainable version of Anthony Black right now, where we're not just putting him in the corner and asking him to knock down threes. And we're also not asking him to be the point guard. Like a lot of this in this game was him like catching and attacking. It wasn't doing a lot of stuff. Like he wasn't ISOing, wasn't running like a ton of pick and roll. It was the ball swings to him. He makes a move, gets his man off balance, and is just ripping it and going to the rim. And I think this is, right now at least, the best version of Anthony Black. And again, we just need him to do this all the time. If he can just be that level of confident and aggressive, even if he isn't always finishing at the rate that he was on Tuesday, he's still going to be really freaking good.
Yeah, 100%. And then like you said, I don't expect him to go out there and be a 40% three-point shooter, but let's say in a game like this, he adds, he took 3 threes. Let's say he hits one of 3, or maybe he goes 2 of, 6 or 2 of 5 or whatever. You add that to, what he actually did, we're looking at, mid-20s off the bench, 24, 25, 26 points off the bench. Again, not something you expect every night, but just to see that that's possible, which it is, I think is very, very encouraging, and I think should be a good sign for the Magic and for Anthony Black, I think.
Only because we've talked about literally everyone else. I'll mention Goga Batadze, almost 14 minutes, had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block, a turnover. Really, really strong start to the game, and then like had a couple of plays, I think, in the second half that it was just like, okay, like can't really have that. And then, he didn't really play a ton in the second half. Let's see. In the second half, it was 6 minutes, 10 seconds for him. And then this is a weird thing that I don't remember. NBA.com is crediting Jamal Cain with 9 seconds played. Did Jamal Cain actually get into the game? I don't remember that.
Did. No, he absolutely did. I saw it live because I saw it. They zoomed in on a guy, and you could see Cain coming off at the scorer's table, coming onto the floor, and I was like, "What?" And then they played the one possession. I think it was the end of the third quarter. I think is what's
That's
in my
so
head.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, he played one possession, and that was it. But yeah, no, because I did a double take. Like I was, just doing whatever, and I looked up. I was like, "Wait, is that?" And then sure enough, it was. And yeah, he just came on, and that was it.
I'm going back through the play-by-play. I don't see where Cain comes into the game.
Maybe it wasn't the third quarter. I thought it was the third quarter.
Maybe I've gone through each quarter now, and I'm struggling to find it. Okay, yeah, he came in 9 seconds left in the first. He came in
the first. Oh well, my memory's cooked then. Great.
Yeah. Oh, this was when Curry hit the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. They checked Jamal Cain in just for a defensive possession to end the first quarter, which is interesting. I mean, he gives you more positional size than Jace does, but yeah. So Jamal Cain, 9 seconds, and then we literally just let Steph Curry walk into a logo 3, to end the first quarter. I think there was I think we fouled Buddy Hield. He made a couple of free throws. We didn't score, and then Curry comes down and hits the 3, which, you had a decent lead in that first, and then I think it ended up being like 5 or 4 points to end the first quarter. Because it was like you played really strong, and then it was just an awful last minute to kind of let them get back into that game. But no, look, credit to Jamal Mosley sticking with Tyus Jones tonight. It paid off, or in this one, it paid off. 8 points. The Magic win this game by 8. So, maybe there's something to be said there. The rotations, I do feel like have been better with that one detail missing, like the Tyus Jones thing. I don't totally understand it. I do think all of the data backs up the fact that it is not helping the team win right now. I find it really hard. The idea behind it, the only real explanation is that we're trusting that this guy is going to figure it out, and we're giving him the ability to do that. Because right now it's not helping the team. And I think there's a ton of data to back that up. But if it ends up working out, they deserve a lot of credit for having that foresight and being able to be patient with him. And he played well, and let's please see that continue with Tyus.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Big win for the Magic, Kevin, as we've talked about. I'll go ahead and refresh the ESPN.com standings right now. Some of the results around the league. Knicks right now, they're a game up on the Magic. They're down 3 right now in the third quarter at Dallas. Jalen Brunson is back in the lineup there. Houston beat Cleveland tonight. The Magic are a game and a half behind Cleveland. Toronto beat Philadelphia, so you're a half game back at Philadelphia, and you're only 2 games behind Toronto. Miami did win tonight. They're a game up on the Magic, and I think those are really the only results tonight that are relevant to the Magic. But after everything that has happened so far, the fact that you are just 2 games back of the 2 seed, and the fact that it's Toronto, which I still don't expect the 1 and 2 seeds as they are right now to be the 1 and 2 seeds come, the third week of April.
And the other thing to add to that, you haven't played Toronto or Cleveland yet. When it comes to like the head-to-head, like there's opportunities to make up ground there. Now, you have played Detroit, unfortunately. That was a miserable night. But you get an opportunity for a little revenge next week. And if you kind of look ahead to, the games that are ahead, obviously the Clippers tonight, as you're listening to this on Thursday, Knicks on Saturday, 2 huge games. Clippers are really bad. You really got to win that game. Knicks are going to be looking for revenge on the road for them. That's going to be a really, really tough game. A weird tip-off, 5 p.m. on a Saturday. I don't remember the last time that's happened in Orlando. That's weird. Yeah. But then you do the back-to-back to Boston. That's really tough to go from Orlando to Boston and play the Celtics. But then next week, 2 huge games for me. Like, you're at Philly on Tuesday on NBC, NBA Cup game. And then, of course, next Friday up against the top team in the East to close out the NBA Cup group stage. You're at Detroit. Big litmus test for this team over the next, 8 days. The Knicks, we expect to be at the top of the East. The Sixers have, they're good. I think they are a good basketball team. They've obviously fallen down from their start, and then obviously Detroit. So tough stretch, but I think we're going to really have an idea about this team in about 8 days from now, I'd say.
Yeah, Clippers, you have to find a way to win that game. You have to find a way, I think, to split this weekend, right? Like you can't, take 2 losses there. So, whoever you split with, obviously these are 2 teams that we're super familiar with. You're actually, you're going to play Boston on Sunday. Then you don't see them again until the final game of the regular season, April 12th. Then at Philadelphia, we owe them one because they kicked, our butts a couple of weeks ago. We owe Detroit one. Both of those are NBA Cup games, so those are big. And then you've got Chicago, who has definitely fallen since the beginning of the season, and now you have a Wemby-less San Antonio Spurs that you're going to play. So, you find a way to sweep this weekend. If you beat LA, New York, and Boston here, and now we're sitting at 11-7. You're probably going to find yourself potentially somewhere between like 3rd and 6th in the East if you're able to pick those up. And then you've also got, and Philadelphia, Detroit. Those are going to be tough games. But if you have Paolo Banchero back and we can keep the defense going the way that it's been going, you can absolutely win both of those games. I know we're doing a lot of hypotheticals and what ifs right now, but like it's probably not likely, but it's also not the craziest thing ever for this team to rattle off the next 5 wins. And then you've got Chicago and San Antonio, which if this team is healthy and playing to the Magic standard, should win both of those games. Now we're talking about winning 7 in a row, and all of a sudden you're 15-7, and things are feeling pretty good, and you're probably 2nd or 3rd in the East.
Yeah. 100%.
Again, a lot of ifs, a lot of hypotheticals, but what this team has proven to us the last couple of games is if this team plays to their standard, they are going to win most games and have a chance to win most games regardless of their opponent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if on Sunday, if Jalen Suggs and or Paolo Banchero are in that game, you win that game at Houston, and now you've won 5 in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we're sitting at 9-6 right now. And then we're like, yeah, we're definitely beating LA. And then you're 10-6.
Right.
And like stuff starts to really roll, your direction. So again, back to our conversation from the beginning. I don't think we were overreacting because again, this team just did not look at all like the team that we expected. But whatever. All that water under the bridge, as they say. And the Magic have a chance over the course of the next, what is that? 13, 15, 16 days to like really right the ship. And then everybody's going to go, oh yeah, actually, you know what? The Magic are really good. They are the team that we thought they could be.
Yeah. 100%. So, yeah. Let's see it do it.
Okay. Again, watch party this Sunday, Boxy Park, Lake Nona. Game starts at 6 o'clock. Watch party is going to start at 5:30, so be sure to be there. I think that is all. Kevin, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at 6 Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!